to make it work in the late game, and Dignitas could. For me, that was the difference maker, so we'll see what changes here in Champ Select. Nunu banned once again by Immortals. Dignitas will do them the favor of banning Zac this time around now that they've swapped to the red side. And yet again, a early Cassio ban from Immortals.
Yeah, it feels like they just don't want to play it themselves. They're afraid of Keane's Cassiopeia, which is one of his best champions, in my opinion, where he can just scale into the game. It's his second most played. It's one of his best KDAs as well. And it allows him to shred tanks, so it gives him that mid lane threat. But this leaves LeBlanc, this leaves Thresh. There's so many things. I'm going to say it every champion select. There's so many powerful things right now in League of Legends in this meta that 6 bans is just not enough, especially when you're throwing some target bans like the Nunu as well as the Blitzcrank.
And again, I think diversity has kind of been the theme of the last few weeks we've seen on this particular patch, so good to see that, as Blitz and Thresh will actually be exchanged for those final bans. Caitlyn there for Dig, kind of respecting the power of the pick despite winning with it in game number 1. But probably not going to get it here. We'll see what Immortals want to first pick. And do things change up? It's kind of the question for me. I mean,
Maokai, please.
Maokai, Caitlyn were the picks that they had open to and was very absent. Didn't really make the trade we expected to, and Dig ended up with both of them. So, going to change it up again. Immortals are a team that are not strictly following the meta at all. Yeah. Actually, first picking Trist here.
Did Dignitas figure them out? I feel like that's actually incredibly strange, because I'm looking at the picks for both Flame and Xmithie. Maokai has only been played one time between the two players, and the Maokai was for Xmithie. It didn't win, and he didn't have a good performance on it. So the question is he like kind of leaning on Jarvan for that? Is he leaning on the Cho'Gath top lane? Because Maokai is easy to pick up and should be seeing play and high priority, and I think Dignitas are onto that. They now look like they're going to run a Sivir tank comp.
Ooh, okay, yep, flashing Cho, maybe looking to steal it away, but gonna take Sivir J4 here. And I think just saying, Cho'Gath and Maokai are both up, and you're not picking both of them. So happy to give Cho'Gath over to Flame, happy to flex the J4 top or jungle, and we'll see if Dig do end up with either of those picks on the other side. In fact, Flame might even abandon them completely, depending on the pick here. See exactly what gets opened up at Dig. Like you said, I think really understanding that there's just not been very many Maokai picks at all for Immortals, and in fact, we're going to miss one here. Shen and Taliyah picked up for Immortals.
Yep, and now you can't really pick the Maokai without having at least a J4 or Maokai matchup into Shen, both of which are not incredibly favorable for those guys. And Dignitas had actually banned the Shen away in their second round in the first game. But we see Flame pick it up very early to try and have that split push as well as large effect on the map. And this looks like more map pressure. This looks like a global composition coming through for Immortals so far.
And the 3 carries, really.
All right.
Picked up very early for IMT. Locked those solo lanes and that bottom lane in already, as Maokai will be the selection here for Dig.
Yep. I mean, I love Maokai. I think he's incredibly powerful and that this is the right pick here. But the matchups are not incredibly favorable for them, whether it's Jarvan or Maokai into the Shen. But I do feel like the pick, once you get to team fights, it's pretty irrelevant how the lane phase went.
Well, there's a lease ban for Dig, so they're going to start targeting those junglers. They already stole Jarvan away from Xmithie. There's a Kassadin ban for IMT, trying to protect that Taliyah, and I think Dig might even follow up with a Gragas ban here, based on what Immortals flashed earlier, and of course, the general play pattern of Xmithie this split.
I mean, you trying to take my job, Pastry?
Nope. I just like drops.
I know. I feel like the Gragas might come through here as well because it's that most played and it's very comfortable. And there you go.
I'm a genius.
You
no,
are.
I just know how to read stats as it turns out. It's really easy when your opponents have very top-heavy champ pools and it's pretty obvious where they're going with their phase 2 bans as Immortals. 15 seconds left. What do you think?
What's this next one? No, I'm asking you because it's a hard one.
Probably Corki?
It could be Orianna, could be Corki.
Oh, Syndra.
Syndra. LeBlanc's also up. See, that's the thing, right? We're in this meta now where I'm like, there's so many things.
I think Syndra the obvious one, though, because Keane just played it, and it's one of the more obvious counter picks in Taliyah, so
yes.
Should have known.
Yeah.
Dang it, Zirene.
But, like, there's just so many things to consider when you're going through the contingencies. We're up here, like, thinking about it, but they, on stage, have those 30-second ban times where you have to really figure out what you're doing. And
oh, my goodness, that's a Karthus!
All right. Couldn't have predicted that one. The Karthus comes through. We've seen it a little bit in the Challenger Series. It wasn't that successful. I believe it was played by GBM. And this champion in a Sivir composition can be deadly. But what Team Dignitas have done is they have done 2 things. They've drafted a teamfight composition that's going to rush your face and try to get in there. But they see Immortals have a global composition where they try to roam around. And Karthus doesn't have to leave the lane to match the pressure of the Taliyah. So they're matching the global with the damage of the Requiem.
Well, there's Rek'Sai for Immortals.
And I've got to say, this is so Keane to have something up his sleeve like this champion that nobody else is playing right now in the NA LCS. 0% pick there.
The real question is, where is the Garen? He's been playing in solo.
I don't give a damn. We have a Karthus pastry.
I'll settle for Karthus. As there's the bar the crowd wants, I think, from Immortals. Olleh is going to claim it. And there's a very happy crowd. There is a amazing Ssumday Bard cosplay out in the audience for the arena today. So shout out to that person.
Where it at? Where it at?
Oh, you'll see it. You can't miss it. It's adorable.
Stood up. Can't find it. I feel gypped. I feel like...
He's roaming. You relax.
All right, good point. Good point. You know, when it's a concession stand, they'll be back grabbing some meats.
And it looks like Janna for Adrian perhaps here was banned away, so he's going to be the pick. And all of a sudden, Dignitas present a comp that I think nobody expected that looks insanely powerful.
Yeah, scaling, wave clear.
Yep.
Tons of engage.
Yep.
Good pressure, gank assist in one lane, I would say 1.5, but then the disengage. If you try to get in, that's what the Janna's for. And I'm loving the fact that Adrian is kind of pushing this meta as well, where he'll play the disengaged champions when his team already has engage, and they don't over-index on having too many engaged sources, because there's Righteous Glories in the meta, there's Maokai, there's so many things. So he goes the other direction and says, Sivir doesn't need to have another helpful engage. Disengage is the way to go. Keep her safe, and we'll see what happens in this game. Because Immortals have some early map pressure, and then if they can snowball off that, we'll see what happens, and they could walk away with the victory as well.
Certainly could. A team that has played very high tempo, pretty much all split long, but we saw in the last game, these two teams feeling pretty equal, actually, as far as the skill levels go. So we'll see if maybe the draft can make the difference here for Dignitas, or if Immortals can maybe just set things up a little bit better for themselves. I think, again, showing that, you know, they are a team that maybe has a weakness in draft, but who knows? If Immortals steamroll this game, we'll never remember that Keane really picked Karthus in this game. But if all goes to plan for Dig, it's going to be a very impressive looking sweep if they can complete it. All right, lining things up.
Dig in the game.
Dig up a game. I want to see what's going on now, because there's a lot to talk about here as we move into game number 2. Keane's Karthus. I do not remember the last time I even saw Karthus in the NA LCS, let alone the last time Keane played it, if he's ever played it in his professional career.
I don't believe so. The last time I saw Karthus was GBM playing it earlier this week in the finals of the Challenger Series, the last NACS broadcast ever, rest in peace. But I also saw, you know, before when Piglet played it back in relegations.
Ah, so you're telling me it hasn't been
a while.
seen in the LCS for a little while.
It's been a while. It's been a hot minute.
Alrighty, well, Olleh just going to chime out. Hanging with the meeps. Adrian just zipping back and forth. Pretty defensive bot lane there for Dig, but I mean, we've talked about how consistent Altec and Adrian have been. These are the kind of lanes that you can very effortlessly glide through the lane with. There's that kitten. Does not find Xmithie, but does actually proc that there. So with Shrimp, I think actually changing a jungle start potentially. Hard to say exactly where he wanted to start, but at least got some reconnaissance done with that sapling.
Yeah. You place your first sapling because they only last 30 seconds in the river, so nobody invades. And then at 1 minute and 10 seconds or 12 seconds, you start placing them in the brush for your camps.
Shrimp has got 2. Should have enough time
Keane
for one more, I believe.
Leash?
Maybe. Maybe just take a Raptor? We'll see. Hanging out in the pit right now.
They group up really quickly. I'm pretty sure it's difficult as Karthus to actually take a Raptor early. I'll see if he throws a Q over the wall or anything.
Put a ward down, I guess, so that seems to be the thing. There is a ward for Flame, though, into that red buff. He walked over for that, so has pretty good information. And Xmithie did start the Raptors, so different jungle parts this time around, although starting on the same side.
Yep. And we'll see what happens because Xmithie will go to his buff. And then you can do a Krug level 3 and back or gank. Lots of different routes you can go for here.
Well, see how this bottom lane develops. Certainly expecting
Well,
Cody and Olleh to kind of have the advantage early, but that is as even as it can get, Zirene. Which I don't think we would have predicted coming into game 1 of this series.
I feel like there's a lot of hype behind Dignitas with their change to the roster. And Immortals, well, even though they've been the #1 team, I feel like a lot of fans are still unconvinced and still have, like, you know, the fact that they haven't been proven season after season, like some of the other top teams have been.
Pobelter actually roaming up. Sure was spotted on his red, but Oh, no follow up there. Might take the Raptors here for Xmithie.
Xmithie actually went
them out.
EXP Quint into Raptors, and now he's tracking Shrimp in the jungle. He doesn't know the HP, but he's going to go in. He's going to find him at half.
A lot of damage done already. Rek'Sai might be able to get something done here. Shrimp going to flash Xmithie. He does follow, but Shrimp too far away. Yeah,
if he had the full Fury there and got the E off, it may have possibly been a kill. Oh, just barely misses, doesn't stop the back there, so that's actually going to be okay for Shrimp as he backs, gets himself a Ruby Crystal. And he'll start to ward up, but he will lose his Raptors.
He's going to be able to take that down at least. He's going to unburrow and has Smite, so we'll get this camp very quickly. In fact, not even going to need to use the Smite here.
Yeah, I mean, now they get to kind of track him because they they go for the Raptors. Xmithie has a full top side to clear, and the only camp for Shrimp to clear that is even remotely worth anything is this Gromp, and then maybe his Wolves in a few minutes here because Xmithie's going to have a lot to actually go after, and Shrimp's going to be behind.
I think when you think of all these things about jungle piloting, it's not just that like you took something away from the enemy jungle necessarily, but now you have so much information. I mean, Olleh is going to ward this and try and take it. Good smite from Shrimp to secure it, but IMT, if nothing else, even if Olleh hadn't roamed up, would have had the information.
Exactly. Information is incredibly important. It's not always easy to appreciate from a spectator point of view, of course, but the fact that he had taken both the Krugs and the Raptors means there's nothing on the top side to actually go for. So Shrimp, 100% bottom side of the map in the next few minutes, and they just play around.
Oh, there's a flame on Ssumday, who didn't mention it, but did take the J4 instead of the Maokai. I think it kind of makes sense. It's probably the best of your bad matchups there in the 1v1.
Oh, Xmithie tracking Shrimp, who doesn't have flash. Shrimp might be dead to rights here.
Might not have been paying attention. Going to W away under the Unraveled Earth, but now moved back into it by Pobelter. No flash, remember, from Shrimp. So Xmithie looking to follow up. He needs a little bit more. He flash cues, and there is first blood for Immortals mid laner.
And Xmithie, seeing the gank coming, knows that there's no camps on the top side to do, and says, if you're going for anything, you're going for a gank, and the mid lane is a little bit better for him to go after than that bottom side.
Look
at this, Olleh.
Keane ignited already. First does great from Olleh. There's Pobelter's second kill.
And Xmithie doesn't drop to the turret either, and they all get out. And that's that high tempo we were talking about, this early game, this pick, this roam that they can actually execute on, whereas Dignitas want to scale. Dignitas want the game to be as even as possible going into the mid game.
Well, 1,300 gold up from Immortals is not even in this early game. Great early pressure as we'll watch this one again.
Yeah, it's such a great tracking there as well from Xmithie. This sets up the whole thing. Pobelter holds his W until after Twisted Advance, and that makes the difference there. But blows the flash to reposition to the side. And then immediately, Olleh teams up with the jungler. There was that video that was on Reddit. And all about how Olleh's getting high in solo queue, and it's mostly that he teams up with the jungler and roams. He's almost like a second jungler in terms of pressure. Cody Sun gets left to all by his lonesome. Just a kind of 1v2, but like, what's a Janna gonna do? Right? Janna's not gonna help kill the AD carry. So Cody Sun just plays safe and waits for Olleh to return.
Yeah, and still actually ahead in CS, so really not a huge problem there for Cody on the Trist, who's also gonna get scaling up.
Yeah, all the lanes are winning right now for Immortals, and you have the winning jungle matchup, so they're in a very good position to start a snowball, which you should be doing against this composition. They do have some late game insurance, though. Of course, Tristana, no slouch when it comes to scaling. But you have to make sure that as you enter this mid game that you're as far ahead as you possibly can be, because this Karthus, I mean, if you hit mid game and Karthus hits those level 6s and something happens in the side lane, he starts getting kills, it can actually get pretty out of control.
Yeah, I can see that this is Keane's first time playing it in the NA LCS. It was last spring actually, Throgo.
Last week.
But a really nice wall from Pobelter may actually not be enough. Shrimp gonna get executed is certainly enough in the 2v2.
And Olleh's here first too. Olleh reinforces from the side just to give him some safety and an exit route.
Who's faster, Zirene? The move speed champion or the one that can go through walls?
Pretty sure the one that goes through walls.
Correct. And there's Bard able to get the roam done nice and quickly. I realized it was Keane who does both.
Yeah.
Ssumday and Flame still battling.
Flame just going to trade back and forth. But now Ssumday's in a pickle because he has to actually look to ward. Flame has taunt in 2 seconds and then pass through.
He's pinging Keane. Help me!
What is going on?
Flame gets the taunt.
Fight over the honey fruit.
Oh no, the crab's taking one. Flame, Ssumday's out of there though. Not foiled by the Scuttle Crab, but Ssumday gets out.
Yeah,
relatively easily.
It's the winning top lane matchup, and the Shen pick early on, knowing that the Jarvan and the Maokai were something that they wanted to pick up after the Jarvan was shown. And it has pretty good matchups into both of them. And you can see Flame looks like he's going for an early Tiamat as well after his Ninja Tabi. So gonna try to go for pressure, and it's all about winning lanes for Immortals right now. Trying to win these lanes to continue pushing and get early objectives and control of that jungle because they're trying to punish Shrimp.
And look, Flame very well, has become a much more versatile player than the very early days in his career as a carry top laner, but he still wants to win lane whenever given the opportunity, so he's going to work towards that.
Yeah,
Get that team out right.
I feel like everybody talks about League of Legends as a team game, and it absolutely is. But there's one aspect you always have to think about is your team can do more when you're winning lane. If you have a losing lane, you need your team to help you, or you need to kind of just help them by keeping somebody occupied. When you have a winning lane, you get more options. So the draft is always important because it helps just set up the whole kind of the starting foundation of how the game is going to go. And then junglers and supports kind of upset it, and mechanics and outplays will also get you whatever edge.
Looks like Cody's finally going to get a shot in at 20. Never mind, he's getting some more damage done onto Altec. Has a ton of gold to spend though.
Exactly, but Altec has the BF sword advantage. They brought Maokai down to the bottom side who has ultimate. They might be able to push somebody off this turret. Olleh doesn't have his flash.
I think Altec too low to participate in a dive as well, despite having ultimate. So gonna have to back off here. So we'll check in exactly where Immortals are.
Altec's just gonna CS, push back. You see Cody Sun resets his back to make sure he doesn't get Ricochet.
And stays again because he's like, I want this farm. Shrimp wasting time though, which is nice as Ssumday roam down the mid lane, gonna get spotted. Yep. Xmithie wrapping around onto Keane. It's a 2v2 right now.
Yeah, but you always have these stand uniters, so. Oh. Yeah, this game, I feel like this draft from Immortals just gives them more pressure early. And Dignitas are now banking on Immortals, just not keeping their foot on the gas, which as a team I feel like is not a good strategy. Sure, it'll win you games, but it's not one that made it so that the ball was in your court. You're relying more on enemy mistakes than you are actually you playing your game plan.
Well, you can see again, Flame getting aggressive onto Ssumday. He's 10 CS ahead in his lane. Flame just going to keep running Ssumday down as long as possible, pulling that blade back for the slow. And again, IMT just kind of up in every lane. Pobelter 2-0-1 has a 20 CS lead, and Cody, who is eventually going to go shopping, also has a CS lead from sticking around despite Olleh leaving his lane multiple times.
Yeah.
Looks like Cody's going to cash in.
And once you get to this point, though, you can do whatever you want. And here comes the top lane dive. They're going to look for Ssumday possibly. They have 4 people here. Ssumday, it's looking grim.
Well, he's going to try and get his way out, but Olleh's going to flash slow him down. Ignites through. There's a knock-up, and Pobelter. Kill number 3. Yep,
that's the flash and the ignite from Olleh. Question is, do they push faster? I don't believe so. It's going to be very close here between the two. Top lane, oh, actually, no, they had way more bottom lane turret damage. That's going to be Dig getting first turret.
And Cody, I mean, just kind of had to find a time to back, which felt a little awkward. He finally brought up, but all that pressure does give Dig that first turret. Gold Immortals will answer shortly after, so not a huge loss. But Dig actually up in tempo, going to start this Cloud Drake here on the bottom half of the map.
Yeah, and it's going to be traded for the Rift Herald. Cloud Drake for Rift Herald. If Rift Herald can break that mid turret, you're in a good spot. But I actually feel like Karthus is okay losing that mid turret. Like, from a perspective of against the Taliyah who can roam and now threaten all the side lanes, Karthus, you want that spell penetration, you want to just scale a little bit in that mid game, and if you have to sacrifice your turret, then that's all right. You can just farm a little bit further back.
Good there, but Rek'Sai will go over. Again, Dig a little faster on the overall play, so might be able to get something else done, but I think we'll just have a pretty reset situation as Xmithie going to go ahead and pick up the Herald. And actually, Cody with a good amount of free time should be able to get this as well.
He does a lot of damage to this turret. Explosive charge.
Shrimp is here. That might be enough to save it. Looks like it will with the Dominion Wave running low, so Cody's still threatening that turret, but it does stay up for Dignitas.
Yeah, interesting thing here is Cody Sun went for a cull. He's saying this is kind of just that even matchup here where he's up about 200 gold total. And he's trying to make it so that when they hit that mid game, they get a bigger spike. So instead of investing in the now, he's investing for later and trying to make sure that they can get to a snowball.
I mean, he's really just been farming, sometimes even 1v1 or 1v2. So Cody, I think, pretty comfortable in this situation right now. IMT have so much map control.
And I think this is good for Cody Sun as the scaler on the team. Normally, you're like, why are you doing this? You need to help your team snowball because that's the comp. But he's the scaler. He's the insurance policy. If something goes wrong, you do have this Tristana, and if he's able to get space to buy this coal because his team is being aggressive, it allows him to scale up. And if something does go wrong, he's ahead based on what he had purchased earlier.
Yep, 20 CS up also, so looking good there for Cody in the bot side as Keane gets the blue buff and try and protect this turret.
Yep. Altec's gonna have to protect that bottom turret, and now it's everybody looking for some type of advantage, and I feel like the game is gonna be in a bit of a paralyzed state for a little bit because there's globals from both Flame and from Keane. So Immortals won't go too aggressive, and Dignitas won't go too aggressive because there's a little bit of an answer if something goes a bit awry. This mid turret will go down because the Rift Herald and the pressure that we fought earlier, and Immortals cashing in on that Cloud Drake exchange.
Might even use some of this time to try and get bot turret as well, as it does get a charge onto the tier 2 and deal some damage there. Looks like Pobelter's moving down, level 2 ult ready, so they're going to cut off all the vision on the right-hand side of the map and let Cody finish off that turret. Dig playing smart, not moving aggressively through the jungle to get picked off, but IMT actually have a really big lead now. It's 4,000 gold before this turret dies. It'll be pretty much 5k once this falls down. And it not quite 14 minutes in. Immortals going to struggle to fall behind in this game, given that the snowball has well and truly started.
Struggle to fall behind. I always try. I always struggle.
I mean, I do it with a bomb control, actually.
But yeah, now they get to go after these tier 2s. And Altec taking a lot of damage there from that trade. He might actually have to back off here. Get some assistance. But yeah, now that they're winning every single lane, you just kind of keep the lane phase going as Immortals, and then use Taliyah and Shen to rotate whenever you see a play we can possibly make.
Yep, Globals on the map is open. 2 thumbs up there from Immortals at this stage. And Pobelter even drilling the mid turret right now.
Yeah, there's just CS advantages across the board for Immortals. Like, every lane is getting crushed right now by at least a 15 CS advantage.
I mean, almost 1,000 gold up in top mid and Cody versus Altec in the bot lane. So
2,000 mid, yeah. This Karthus is not having a good time. Pobelter 100% KP alongside Xmithie, and now he's going to look for a play on the bottom side. Here comes the Weaver's Wall.
Cutting off, Olleh portaling through, but just going to try and cut off Altec. Oh, good flash. There's the ult there from Trim defensively. Does clear the way out, so no turret there for IMT as Sivir pops the ulti. Looking for the big old flank, but Ssumday getting in the saves himself from the Karthus ulti, using the Tempered Fate, and Ssumday gets blown to pieces. Olleh,
Xmithie?
You are amazing as Xmithie just dives in aggressively and going to force that heal out from Cody. But still, the play continues. Flame has made his way down with Stand United.
And Immortals are saying the last time they played Dignitas, the way that they won, I talked about it, 27-minute game, 23-minute game between the two that they had, and that is off that high pressure, the tempo early. And Dignitas, they won the last game off of team fighting. They won it off of late game, and Immortals are saying, we're not going to let you get there this game.
Yep. Kind of continuing again to play aggressive and build that lead up further and further. I'm not going to do math on screen. That's a lot of gold up now for IMT.
Yep, 5.6 thousand.
There we go.
Baron's not even on the table yet. And this right here from Pobelter is mostly just to get turret damage, but then Altec caught and has to flash over the wall. And Olleh, trying to get away, gets rooted, and then, or doesn't get rooted, and then Ssumday kind of missed the opportunity there. And that was just so well. Olleh's Bard ultimates are disgusting. Even in his last matchup, the final ultimate he had in that last team fight was so good. And then right there, I don't know if they knew who Xmithie was actually ulting to, because it doesn't tell you when you dip down if you have multiple targets. And that looked like maybe he was just trying to go untargetable, but he jumps to Shrimp and to safety, and they were not prepared to turn.
Certainly not. Because everyone from Immortals is able to make their way down for that fight, and Immortals continue to take kills. 5-0 up. As far as that goes, it's really just a turret and a Drake for Dig. It's all they've been able to scrounge in this early part of the game. And now Titanic's online for Flame. Not that tanky, but doesn't really need it right now, given that he's just trying to 1v1 Ssumday and keep the lanes pushed out. Cody, again, has spent a big chunk of money and has a static shift now completed. Yep. That called, I think, 20 CS away from stacking.
Getting that wave clear going.
I mean, this turret's dead if Dig don't have a response.
Yeah, Dig to play a defensive composition before the Maokai actually gets to an engage point. And you get all the pressure as Immortals, who crafted incredibly well. So, honestly, huge props to Song for this draft, because Dignitas felt the need to take the Jarvan away very early on. and drafted for an engaged competition. Now they've been able to play completely around it and shut down Shrimp.
Yeah, and again, every lane just kind of sticking here for Immortals, and it's continuing to get further and further ahead. Pobelter is approaching 50 CS ahead, and he's already got 2 pen items plus the Morello. IMT just going to rotate around, look to keep taking turrets. They've got 4 already. Going to try and make it 5, but there's the wall from Pobelter, and that's an easy feed.
And this is why Taliyah, I forgot who said it in an interview, where it was like, they had Taliyah, they had an advantage. You should be able to just keep getting turrets with the Weaver's Wall over and over again. Like, there's no excuse for not using the Weaver's Wall to get turrets like that from a diagonal angle and forcing people off, because you section fights incredibly well. If you want to play Taliyah at a high level, you just go in the practice pool, get yourself to level 6, figure out when you approach side lanes how you can get walls in, and then give yourself level 11, extend the range of the wall, and then figure out your mid-game walls. And Pobelter just has all of this down.
Yeah, very well practiced on this champion. As the second Drake goes over to Immortals, equalizing the clouds as the next one will be Infernal. Certainly something nice for IMT as they're looking to scale up into the game, but not going to need it right now. Almost 19 minutes in, and that gold lead is continuing to grow. Almost 8,000 gold up for IMT.
Yeah, you win that early game in multiple lanes and just start winning the entire map. And when it's on something like a roamer, like the Taliyah, who got those 3 early kills and that 1 assist, then the whole map is afraid of this pressure, and you lose your mid turret. Karthus can play defensive and try to get to a point where he has those penetration items, but it's just too high of a tempo here for Dignitas to match.
And I think for me, the biggest indicator of just how straightforward this game feels for Immortals is Cody is just continually stockpiling like 1,500 to 2,000 gold before shopping. He's just hanging out in side lanes, taking farm, and just, he knows, you know what? If I need to be somewhere, I will. But my team is winning so heavily everywhere else on the map that I'm just going to keep farming.
Yeah, he's 2 levels up. He's got 2,000 gold almost in the bank here. His Cull just cashed in. He's ready for his Infinity Edge. Like, why not keep the pressure up? I feel like he backs here, you reset, maybe look for Baron,
Don't
but
trust Cody.
I actually feel like the way that Dig get back in this game is off of a Baron fight. I feel like if you're Immortals, you only go for a Baron if you have absolute vision and you've made some picks and they're trying to make some down.
It's time to do the wall. No, not quite. Shrimp with the defensive ultimate as Adrian taking a little bit of heat.
That's a long wall. They're like, get away, stay away.
I was waiting for Olleh to snag someone into the Weaver's Wall for some ultimate Taliyah combos, but instead IMT is continuing to siege, and Keane is trying to find a flank here on the Karthus, but Xmithie going to chase him away. Might even get good damage done here as Keane actually firing back. Does do good damage with the Karthus right now. Ssumday also looking for the flank. He committed his TP as Xmithie could have been caught here, but able to tunnel back towards the Baron. Altec and Adrian still getting zoned by Pobelter and Olleh, and Immortals commit a couple of things here and there. Don't get too much out of it, but really not a risk at all for them at this stage.
And this game has been so much about the lanes that Flame has only had to ulti 1 time this game, and that was that bottom lane team fight. That was it. Otherwise, nobody's made many moves. I believe Keane has also only used his ultimate once, and Shrimp, put him on the Barbie.
The tank disappears. As I doesn't have too many items right there. Cinderhawk and some Locket Putts for Shrimp means that he is going to melt even to the magic damage dealer. Cody, I still can't believe he did that. Cody, still looking to siege up this top side turret. Again, happy to just sit on a large amount of gold, but just doesn't need to be off the map. Immortals know they've got all the pressure, might as well continue it. And Shrimp, who's trying to clear some vision, Olleh says no.
Yeah, as a jungler, it's the worst feeling, because it's a team game. Your team has been losing lanes. You got punished incredibly early after the flash and the invade from the Rek'Sai. So Shrimp hasn't been able to really play League of Legends. He's playing I would say it's Farm Simulator, but like there's a ton of people in your field and they're trying to beat you up. So
taking all your crops.
You can't get anything.
You get invaded, yeah.
I mean, like, that's the thing is when you're playing jungle and taking your camps is kind of a thing that you can look around the map. You can just like hit F1 through 5 and like check your lanes. But when it gets to the point where you're farming your jungle and you have to like look everywhere, pull your camps into brush, like be incredibly paranoid about what's around, that's when jungling is just not fun at all. It feels so bad to pick up any gold.
Certainly does, and IMT almost 10,000 gold ahead in this game. High roller Cody Sun has finally gone back to spend his money. He's got now an Infinity Edge to join that static ship and an extra Zeal item. So investments have certainly been paying off here for the trip.
And they're at a really good pace right now, above the 10 CS per minute mark for both of them. But look at us trying to engage, trying to get something back. Ssumday on Pobe.
Ooh, Pobelter outie, but that's Shen.
There's
Shen
Shen.
have to fight, but he's just gonna go down. Sivir able to get that kill. Tempered Fate blocks up two, but not enough as Cody does take the turret. Might just have to keep going.
Yeah, and they're split pushing still. Flame on the side. Is this going to be a Baron startup here? I feel like this is how they get back in the game. They use the Sivir ulti to rush down. They're trying to go for broke, trying to get something back. There's the TP.
Yep, Flame comes in, already burnt the ulti to try and save Pobelter, but it did not work. Xmithie is around the side, but I think Dig just have to rush it and try
Adrian
and take it
ulti.
down. They're going to go in front. The Baron does go over to Dig and Shrimp. Able to take it. Olleh firing back with some Eepshot. Flames in the pit, forced to flash out. Cody just could not get in there. In fact, he's still coming back down from his split push.
Yeah.
Immortals might finally find some exit kills here.
He has great damage.
Oh, they found Cody, but Ssumday, I just don't think they're
on him.
Shrimp gonna try and lock him up, but Dig can't safely get in. He's still there to CC. Cody just free firing away. The Karthus ulti could be big. Not enough damage though.
That's bigger than expected though, because Keane has not gotten much of the action here. But that is Dignitas picking up a Baron, 9,000 gold down, and this is gonna relieve pressure, allow them to scale. The composition wants to scale, and this is how they're gonna get a little bit back into this game here.
Well, it's unlikely to be a big Baron power play, but a necessary one for Dignitas nonetheless. They needed a way to get some gold and play catch up, and the gold from the Baron should be nice. We'll see if they can get any other work done. Infernal Drake is up in 20 seconds, and Pobelter just stole away their blue up. I don't know if Dig can try and defend this, but we'll see if they try.
Yeah, the Infernal Drake may actually be something you just sacrifice here. Flame has no globals. He's going to have to back and walk here now. But they do these objectives very quickly with the fact that they have a Karthus. So we'll see. Adrian, no ultimate to disengage. Shrimp does have his ulti now. They have to start it up as soon as it spawns if they want it. And then look at that, they just do it so quickly. Xmithie's in it.
Oh, actually gonna get locked up by Shrimp. No, tunnels out before the W commander. Keane locked up by Olleh, but they're actually still fighting a Drake. They're gonna try and take it and book it. Does go over to Dignitas, but there's the ulti. Pobelter taking too much time. Ssumday Keane finds him with a skittle and takes him down.
They're solo. Cody Sun might have a way in.
Redemption. Gonna slow him down. A little bit of damage, but Cody can't find the reset. Dignitas get away again.
And I feel like Adrian, the last two monsoons on this Janna have been perfect. The first one was in the Baron pit to stop the potential steal from Xmithie, exactly what he should have done. And there it stopped the potential engage from Immortals to try and pick up these low members.
Well, we talked about the scaling from Dignitas being the thing they were leaning on after Champ Select. It was so far behind that all they needed to buy for themselves was time, and they have bought some.
And this right here from Ssumday is exactly what you want to see. We talked about Jarvan when Xmithie was playing it, where you get the flash, you can just repeat. He's going to go in onto Pobelter. Pobelter dodges, but then he just gets Cataclysm, and now it's going to be the kiddies coming in. It doesn't matter what happens, and everybody gets zoned away. Cody Sun has to spend time off on the side there, dodging the Nature's Wrath instead of hitting Altec, and Flame went for the taunt there and got monsooned away. So Dignitas, their team comp is now coming back online. And
Altec's got to be careful.
Oh, the turret.
Good juke of the seismic shove. Turret one hit away, but Dignitas do not overcommit.
Yeah, turret, 16 HP.
That's not very much.
Don't do math on stream, Pastry.
I'm not gonna figure out how many hits it's gonna take. I'm just saying, it's not a whole lot of health. Dignitas looking for top side now. They're again trying to keep the pressure with the Baron that they've gotten. Only 25 seconds left with the buff, so gonna have to make it count.
Yeah, gonna try to push this up top. They have that wave clear from Altec with the static shift and the Infinity Edge now, and instantly clears these out.
Still, I don't think they can stay. Maybe one more wave.
I don't know. Here comes Olleh. Is he gonna throw an ulti?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Yep, they're gonna try to go in.
They want Altec, I think. Pobelter cuts him off. A little too far forward. Uses the ulti. The locket might be able to save him. Turret does go down. Ssumday stayed him. Needs to take him with the ulti. Is gonna stay alive for a little longer, but Cody finally takes it down. A two-man Tempered Fate finds two as Adrian falls down. Now Keane, the next target is Cody. Who's gonna leap forward? A double kill for Pobelter. King gonna try and buy time for the rest of his team. Requiem though not channeled, and Ssumday just couldn't make it to the fight or didn't want to.
Yeah, that right there. It was almost Shrimp just being in the corner and he couldn't get picked up. But then Keane and Adrian both get ultied from Olleh there, and Keane did not turn on his E, so he wasn't doing any damage during that time.
Unfortunate there for IMT. Now they're gonna take an inhibitor here in the top lane. Dignitas was finding their way back into the game, but Immortals closing that door pretty quickly.
Yeah, that Weaver's Wall from Pobelter, another big one to help them stay in it and ahead very far ahead and make sure that Dignitas doesn't rubber band back into this game.
And now we have a bit of a moment to watch this replay.
Yeah, and this was just a great setup. Xmithie comes in right onto Shrimp, who doesn't have flash. And then Pobelter goes for the wall. Shrimp gets in the corner, and the root comes out on Pobelter, and it's like, almost! Threaded volley just right there! Almost! And then right here, this Tempered Fate stops Adrian from channeling the heal, and Keane did not have his E on, so he wasn't dealing damage to anybody around him. And so the Karthus wasn't able to prime people for an ultimate afterwards.
Well, again, Dig finds something back to the Immortals, able to keep the game firmly in their control. So they're going to try and shove down a little bit more here as Pobelter is working bot side. We've got the rest of IMT here in mid.
I like the pickups here from the members of Immortals. We have the Hex Drinker for Cody Sun to make sure that the Karthus ultimate does less damage and that it isn't guaranteed to take him to half HP every time.
Ssumday back in again, but gets out pretty quickly. And Dignitas like, kind of getting to the point where their comp's really scaling up. 3 items there for Altec. Keane needs a lot more, actually, and Ssumday's kind of tanky.
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, Ssumday hit his Gargoyle Stoneplate by accident there.
Well, from memory, that's a 90-second cooldown, so gonna have to wait.
Yeah, I feel like he was trying to use Corrupting Potion there and accidentally hit the wrong one, so he doesn't have that big Jarvan tanky team fight item for him, because you want to go in, blow your Cataclysm, and then just stay on top of the person. But you also want to use your ulti on somebody, get their flash. Look at that. Oh, it's primed.
Dig saying they have to fight, though. Good ult there from Shrimp, actually going to keep everybody else out, but Shrimp maybe just taking too much damage. Xmithie, he's going to be kept alive as Cody finally takes down the tank.
Keane going in,
flashing in, he's going to make it happen. Requiem going to get channeled. I don't know if he's going to get any kills here. How much damage? Not nearly enough. Cody loses nothing with that Hex Drinker, and Xmithie just a bit too tanky.
Yeah, Xmithie has a lot of HP. He also has the most magic resist on the team now. And now Immortals get to continue. The wave clear is just Altec right now. You're going to have to rely on something like a flash engage from Flame, who's off on the side and can threaten that. But the range from the rapid fire cannon Tristana, you always have to respect it. Yeah,
Minions also streaming into that top half as well. Super Minions already there as
Whoa!
Flame.
Wow!
Just try and get Ssumday. Altec takes the Olleh. I assume a Ricochet killed him. And Flame actually just has to get out. Dignitas still defending this turret as Ssumday is on Super Minion duty. IMT, they will be able to crack it. Flame gonna tank it. Needs a little bit more. They actually can't take it. Dignitas hold on to their turret.
Olleh got picked up there by, I believe, the Boomerang Blade, but the thing that cracked me up is Ssumday gets hit by the Buster Shot and goes off to the side as he uses his Flag and Drag. So it kind of looks like he makes an L shape off the... Woo! I love those things.
Well,
it's Fast Baron. Dignitas, no time to talk about anything funny.
They're at it again.
Dig Baron.
TV in from Ssumday. Ooh.
5K.
This one works out. Ulti from Shrimp. Just keep him out of the pit for as long as possible.
Keane.
Can't get it in. Pobelter, though. He's going to get a kill on the Keane. The Baron does go over to Dignitas for the fight. I don't think Will Altec gets away. Dig, 3 members out the back of the pit.
2 for 0 in favor of Immortals, but the Dignitas once again get the Baron, and it's not a throw. They're gonna maybe give up the Infernal Drake, but I don't think they lose the game here. They'll have waves that are hard to push in.
Yep.
We'll see, they're trying to pressure turrets. They might try to get that bottom and the mid here. Immortals just have a big advantage here in terms of the pressure on these turrets.
Just working against the clock for Dig. Immortals playing so fast still with their lead. They're able to take down this turret there in mid. Bot's also pretty available.
Yeah, triple inhib.
To keep that back out. And that inhib is going to fall. Top still streaming. Super Minions in. IMT is exactly where they want to go. Going to bail out for now as Dignitas have shown no hesitation in starting some of these fights. But Dig, I think just a little too late on some of these item timings. Too far behind after that early game as IMT going to consolidate back and take this Infernal Drake.
Yeah, and right now, IMT are sitting on so much gold. Pobelter has 2,000. Cody Sun has 3.5 thousand gold. Buy something! Oh my god!
I don't know if we could ever track this, but
how much people back with?
Average amount of gold Cody Sun has had before shopping in this particular game would be some pretty ludicrous number.
I feel like there's a point where there's a stat you could track where how much gold you spend on average per back. There's got to be something there because Some people just have those late back timers, but this is one where he's so far ahead, but it does leave you susceptible to counter plays, right? People had to spend gold right before that, and that's how Dignitas got in on the Baron faster, is even though you have this pressure and you're pushing lanes up the entire game, you have to back eventually for items to keep your spikes up, right? And it takes a longer time for you to get back across 3/4 of the map when you're ahead than the other team to back and go 1/4 of the way. So when you're backing from that far up, the other team had already matched items much sooner and they're able to get a tempo play on the Baron. And Dignitas have identified that, and that's really great to see from them, but Immortals still just so far ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if Dig have kind of any chance back into this game, I think their moment is now. Keane just picked up Void Staff. Altec's got 4 items and their top inhib respawned. Like, Immortals can't be too aggressive here, but a nice wall again from Pobelter.
Yep, trying to
make that bottom turret free. Dignitas just want to try and find the angle for a fight, though.
And Ssumday just dueling Xmithie, trying to push him back. Top lane, though, Flame versus Keane.
Those are the 2 globals, right? Dignitas making sure they stick Keane in that top lane.
Yeah, because Ssumday doesn't have his teleport right now. But we've seen what can happen if Altec can get into a fight with these items, and if they can get on Pobelter.
Just gotta find, again, the right target for him. Looking for the taunt, doesn't get it. Redemption out for Dig.
They're on Pobelter!
Ssumday jumps on him, and he took so much damage to the root. He's gonna find it. The Karthus
much damage?
Decent amount of damage coming out. No, the locket, great stuff there from Olleh, I believe, defending the team from so much potential burst.
That was double locket. That was Xmithie with a gargoyle snowplate, iron locket. He blocked 5,000 total damage with his locket so far.
That's a lot. Dignitas still trying to defend, though, as IMT again. We're going to just take down these inhibs. Dignitas still being very stoic in the defense.
Yeah, that gargoyle stoneplate plus locket combo, you don't always get to it, but when you do against global comps or AoE comps, you block so much. The exact number is 4,828 damage was blocked there by Xmithie.
See Dig again going to get cut off here. Altec on the right side of the wall. Cody's just going to try and fire some shots in.
It's like, how do you reach him? You have to wait out this long duration of the wall. Like, it's just, man, people talk about Morgana bindings being long. That's a long wall.
Well, Dig still actually defending their inhibs despite a negative bound power play of about 1,200 gold. I mean, I didn't expect them to get positive on that play, given how far ahead Immortals were, but the fact that we're 35 minutes in and Dignitas are still in this game, given the lead that Immortals had, and still have.
I'm looking at the gold differences here. The top laners are a little bit close, but that mid lane, Altec is pretty close to Cody Sun, considering the late game now. He's about 1,300 down, but that mid lane, this Karthus is so far behind and has a lot of room to grow. So that's what you have to worry about, is this Karthus getting those 2 extra items, because Pobelter is a whole item and a half ahead now and has 700 gold to spend. So he's pretty close to completing what I think would be a Void Staff at this point, but we'll see. Pobelter did blow his flash, so he actually has to be very careful, because Ssumday's going to jump on him next fight. Ssumday is just always going after Pobelter here. If they're able to kill him, they're able to shut down a lot of the damage in the fight.
Yeah, this Jarvan playing very aggressively, keeping Flame back as Immortals line up yet another push. Baron is back up in 2 minutes, but Immortals going to try and take these inhibs first at least. There's another wall from Pobelter is going to lock them out of this.
And you're seeing the methodical play from Immortals try to come through here, but here comes the Nature's Grasp. Keane almost dead.
Took a little too much damage.
On to Pobelter!
Requiem again, the locket's already burnt down, but they don't have quite enough. Altec needs to do damage. He dodged a tempered fate, I think, with a spell shield, but Cody, he takes down the front line. Dignitas throw.
They're going after Keane.
Then Keane, he's dead as well. Ignite down, that should be enough as Olleh does pick up the kill. He will fall, but Immortals are happy to trade there.
So much damage blocked again. Xmithie has blocked 8,200 damage now with his locket. That is an insane combo in these fights. He is just trying to shut down the damage that Keane does, and it is making a big difference here. Shrimp, still not that tanky. The guy is 0-6-0. He has been bullied all game long.
TP back for Flame, 2 hits down already, and now Ssumday can get moved back into the team. Altec gets buster shotted out of the way. Cody Sun jumps forward, Altec but that's a little too far forward. Flame able to take him down. And I think Dig are out of defenses at this point. Nexus start number 2 will fall, and Immortals are going to force a 3rd game. Dignitas, they tried to hold on, but the snowball was far too big.
Yep, trying to kill Pobelter here, trying to get the KDA, but no! And that's going to be forcing a game 3. That was a game that is 16-4 in kills, and it was 37 minutes long. It was another barn burner. It took forever for Immortals to close this one out. But that's that wave clear. That's that Janna disengage, and we saw a lot of that come into play. And looking at the damage dealt, like just jumping right into that, it's almost identical across both teams.
I mean, Keane did a lot of damage, actually. Not quite as much as Altec, and you have to think that was a Karthus that for most of the game did not have a Void Star.
He was very far behind in gold. We saw even behind Altec about 3,000 there at the end. So he was not being able to like kind of pick up that CS. It was mostly going and getting farmed by Altec with the Rek'Sai, because that's how they kind of stay in the game, is that ranged wave clear. But now you're looking at Cody Sun and going, good thing they drafted that Tristana first pick in an early game composition, because it allowed them to have this insurance in case something went well. Because if you have to play perfectly for the entire rest of the game, then you're going on a knife's edge and saying, we mess up once and they get that Baron, it might be game over. But because they have the late game insurance of the Cody Sun, Tristana, he can't really be jumped on in these fights. Even though Pobelter gets blown up by Ssumday a few times, Cody Sun's able to escape, and you don't want to cataclysm the Tristana because she jumps away, and that was really a big point in the draft.
Yep, another back and forth game, but for a deeper dive on how Immortals have tied up the series, let's hand it back over to Dash and Mark.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I asked for a game 3. I got it. Immortals delivered, but again, didn't come so easily for them. As Zirene mentioned, given the scoreline, when you look at those numbers across the scoreboard at the top, you would have assumed that would have been easier for them to close. Dignitas really gave them a run for their money there.
It is pretty hard to win without Baron, even if you're very far ahead. If the enemy team keeps getting those Barons, it can be pretty hard to close out. And I think that was kind of the case that happened here. Never had the super creep pushes or the Baron buff pushes helping them actually close that game out. So that was the problem. But for the most part, it never felt like it was out of Immortals' hands.
Exactly. And along with that, Dignitas made a stab at this Karthus mid lane pick, which we did see in the Challenger Series, as was mentioned, and you were there to witness this. Give me your thoughts real briefly on Karthus and where he may be able to fit into the meta or may not.
It's an interesting champion, just because when Freak was talking about on the analyst test during the Challenger Series, he said he didn't like it because the AP ratios are very low and you're going to hit like a damage cap that you're not going to be able to use that ultimate to burst out tanks. When against squishies, when you get really high AP values late in the game, you can do 2/3 of a health bar sometimes. It's absolutely crazy. That said, he still also has some of the best AoE team fighting. Karthus is usually, if he's not super far behind the game, the highest damage champion, just because his AoE from his E and his spammable Q does do a lot of damage even to tanks, even if the AP values aren't that high. You put a Leandry's in there, you have cooldown reduction, you're just putting those out more than every second. You end up doing a lot of damage. So it's one of those champions where I'm not ready to say it's bad quite yet, but it hasn't impressed so far. It keeps falling behind. They do these build paths that seem like they should be spiking earlier, but they're already behind.
But they get behind. Yeah, that's the thing, right? We will call into question to some degree the build path. No catalysts, no tiers, nothing that's going to scale. But also, as you mentioned, if you get behind, and this is where we're going to go to the focus on the mid lane, Immortals putting all of their focus there, making sure that Keane goes down not only in kills, but also in CS. Really great play from both Xmithie, Olleh, and Pobelter.
Yeah, one of those plays where it's no flash, you get caught out in the counter gank, go down. Olleh reads this moment of weakness, roams up from the bot side, able to join in and get a dive off onto Keane, and then it's kind of off to the races for Pobelter from here on out. He's going to just have a monster team fight presence. Xmithie's going to keep that pressure up in the jungle, knowing that they have this lane priority. Doesn't need to be scared of Shrimp walking forward, trying to arcane smash him off the wolves, but a really nice cutoff path there by Pobelter, able to punish. Keane's trying to get involved, but can't quite do it. And there's another kill going over, and it was just constant pressure like that.
Again, rotation, again. So yeah, this is the point, right? Pobelter's now ahead. He's got a sizable advantage. He's just going to shove his lane and immediately rotate to his side. Pairing up with Xmithie here, going after Ssumday in the top lane. And it's just very clear that Immortals with the lead does know how to play.
Yeah.
I'm scared, though, of the fact that they don't know how to play with Maokai. Because we've seen them now give away Maokai twice, and even though they did beat the Maokai this time around, we saw how difficult it was for them to close against this team of Dignitas.
I think the big thing we said, though, was the Baron. You can see that the gold graph kind of stops at around 9, 10K.
Out.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing where, like, yes, the gold lead isn't supposed to go up anymore. The game's supposed to end. They just never grabbed the Baron. That kind of led to those stall-out phases. They couldn't win team fights super definitively. Ssumday was doing a decent job finding Pobelter, and otherwise just wave clearing with Sivir, which is one of those champions that can stall out forever.
All right, so we arrived to player of the game, which will go to Pobelter on that Taliyah. Again, part of the reason why they were eventually able to close it out was because of those Taliyah walls being used very effectively. I think we're starting to see a clear division in mid laners here in the North American LCS, those who can and those who cannot Taliyah.
That's the thing, is it's one of those champions that, in principle, pretty simple champion. You push the wave, you roam, that's great and all that, but the timings of everything, being able to land the seismic shoves, which is a huge part of your damage in team fights, as well as being able to actually make sure that your ults cut off every angle, because if you leave a small gap, we've seen it multiple times out of teams like Echo Fox, where they try and use the wall correctly, but they're a little bit too far forward, and the enemy can just walk around it.
1-1, I asked for a third game. I'm not even going to hypothesize or theorize how it'll turn out. I'm just going to wait to see, and so shall you. Meet us back here in just a bit to see whether or not Team Dignitas or Immortals takes it.